Many thanks for joining us there, Katrina. Let's just talk about, first of all, your reaction. Disappointing, aren't they?
Yeah, it is more disappointing than what we expected, but I mean it's not entirely surprising given that the Philippines was heavily affected by supply chain disruptions from Japan's natural disaster in March. The Philippines heavily relies on intermediate goods sourced from Japan for its own production, and because of the natural disaster, production was inhibited. And we also saw slower export demand from the US and Europe during the second quarter. So yeah, a more than expected deceleration is not entirely surprising.
Katrina, interesting because I had a guest about an hour ago, Lito Camacho, the former finance minister of the Philippines in 2001 and 2003, now the MD of Credit Suisse. I asked him, is Philippines insulated more than any other country in Asia from the US slowdown? He said yes, but you're saying, in fact, it's very vulnerable to a slowdown in the global economy, and this GDP growth figure is a good case in point.
Yeah, definitely. The Philippines is very vulnerable to the external environment simply because it relies so heavily on external demand to source its own growth.
Interesting, because he thought perhaps it didn't. I mean, what will drive it forward again? We've got the president now in China. Clearly, foreign direct investment is quite crucial. What do you really need to see to be an economist again and feel the Philippines are going to get a big boost from Chinese investment?
Well, we really need to see the Philippines getting a lot of demand from China, which is going to boost its export performance, and it would also help the Philippines with strong demand because they do rely so heavily on remittance flows, so that if they are seeing better employment opportunities within the region in China, this will help boost the Philippines in the second half of the year.
When you say remittance, what do you mean by that, and how will it change the dimension of the Philippines?
Well, with remittances, Philippines is one of the most remittance-dependent countries in the world, and they rely on remittances to prop up consumption growth on the economy. So if they do have a lot of strong overseas demand for employment, then that's going to mean that there are more remittance flows, which is going to then boost consumption in the Philippines.
Now, this growth figure, as the central bank digests it, you were forecasting at least one more rate rise before the end of this year. How will this, therefore, change the central bank's thinking?
Well, the central bank definitely, with this slower growth, combined with the global instability, we believe is going to stay on the sidelines for the remainder of 2011, keeping the policy rate at 4.5%.
What about the inflation concern? 5.1%, it's above their target, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but we expect that inflation will remain around the central bank's target at the upper end for the remainder of 2011. For two reasons. The first being...
Sorry. You carry on, sorry.
The first reason that it's going to... Yeah, the first reason it's going to remain above this, or around at the upper end of the central bank's target is because we're moving into the second half of the year where there's significant typhoons occurring, and this pushes up food prices. And the second reason is that demand pressures are still quite strong in the Philippines, which is going to, put pressure on inflation.